And you don't see any discrepancy or between the idea of Jews returning after 2,000 years and Israel not allowing the Palestinians who were expelled in 1948 to return.
I didn't, did I say that?
No, no, I'm asking.
No, well, you weren't asking.
I did. It was a question.
Yeah, yeah, you said, and you don't.
Okay, sorry. If you
No, that
do,
is
if
not,
you do,
that is not how you asked the question.
okay, fair enough. I
Okay,
stand
now,
corrected.
okay,
And
yes, you do. Okay, number two,
yes, maybe you do.
my,
So please tell me. Yeah.
no, Peter, because you're projecting certain things. So
Okay.
let me say it this way. I have, from the moment I started working with President Clinton forward, worked on the idea of making sure that the Palestinian people had not only self-determination and sovereignty, but the ability to then eventually have a state. You and I will have this disagreement in and around the rights of return. That's what you negotiate a table for, etc. But whether it's working for President Clinton at Oslo, Jordan, Y Plantation, advising Camp David, or as President Obama's chief of staff, confronting the prime minister directly on the housing policy, undermining the capacity forever to negotiate a two-state solution. I've been kind of consistent for 30 years of adult life.
Mhm.
Now, so you make this as your question belured, if I could, or masked or manifested a bias that I never said. I
I
actually
was
have
just
worked.
asking about your position on right of return.
Well, right of return is something that would obviously be negotiated, as was done in both offered in 2000, negotiated by uh, Ehud Barak and Chairman Arafat with President Clinton. Omar offered it and negotiated with Abbas, and that's what two parties negotiate.
Mhm.
There's obviously, as you know, this isn't a trick question. This isn't like U.S. history for 200 here. We're not playing Jeopardy. You have an idea of a state. You have two thorny issues, Jerusalem, right of return, or three,
Mhm.
and or four,
Mhm.
land, what's part of that, and how do you compromise for what's happened? And B, kind of the national security component because Israel's desire is for security.
Mhm.
And so those are the issues.
Mhm.
I think we got really, not we, President Clinton got very close. And what could have been, and I know you disagree with this summation, but 98% of what the Palestinians were seeking. But I have worked on this through two administrations, and I've also worked on it not in an administration and been consistent. And when I thought things would go against that, I didn't just write an op-ed. I said it to the prime minister's face in 2009, which got him to call me a self-loathing Jew publicly.
Right, right. You're in good company. But I wanted to ask about the 98% number. You mentioned it in the Tel Aviv University speech. You said that Prime Minister Barak offered Chairman Arafat 98% of what the Palestinians were seeking. At Camp David, my understanding of the Camp David offer, and tell me, where you disagree, was that the Israeli offer was that Israel would keep the Palestinian state would be on 91% of the West Bank with a 1% land swap, and that Israel would keep troops in the Jordan Valley for roughly a dozen years. So I don't know, where does that 98% figure come from?
It was not, well, you're doing it by land, by what you wanted. I wasn't just doing it by land swaps.
Hmm.
Because I just identified four different components that would come up with a negotiation.
Hmm.
And you know, and you research this, is the 98% is a summation of what others have also talked about at Camp David. Now, I'm back in Chicago at that point. I'm advising President Clinton from
Hmm.
afar by phone. It's not just the amount of real estate. There were other components of what the Palestinians were seeking. And this is where I disagree, or
Hmm.
we have a disagreement.
Hmm.
Let's say it's 97% or 96%. It was more than 91% of the land. Yes, there's a 1% land, but there were other components that made up. Now, two other components that make up an agreement. Two, far closer than they are today.
Hmm.
Israel didn't get 100% of what it wanted in 48.
Hmm.
Ben Gurion made compromises.
Hmm.
That's governing. You know what governing is?
Hmm.
The decisions between bad and worse. That's what governing is. Okay. And both in the 2000 offer, both in the Oslo offer, and both in the '07 offer to Omar, the Palestinian people will be way ahead of where they are today. Number two,
Hmm.
they said no. They have a right to say no,
Hmm.
but they said no and responded with terrorism. All three cases. Let me finish.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Let me finish. Destroying the support in the Israeli public for any peace deal.
Hmm.
You have a right to say no.
Hmm.
Buses are blowing up in Dizengoff. Buses are blowing up in Ben Yehuda Street. Buses are blowing in Market rather. Buses are blowing up, and also where was it? Well, I'll forget, but it was also in Ramat Gan. I don't want to go through every act post Oslo, but that is what how the no was not just a no and get back to the table. The no was with terrorism,
But
and
well, there were other. I mean, there was
I'm
a
not
series of
absolving.
events that took place. You're not
I'm
mentioning Ariel Sharon's trip to the Temple Mount or the thousands of Palestinians who were killed in the
You know,
wake of that.
Peter, here's what I will say, and I said this in the speech. If you want to go through a history of recriminations, this is going to be a very long podcast.
But you are going through a history.
No, no, I'm no, I'm going. This is what happens, and I'm not absolving Israel. I don't think anybody would walk away
Hmm.
from that speech.
Hmm.
I don't absolve the Arab leadership
Hmm.
for using the Palestinian cause as
Hmm.
nothing but lip service.
Hmm.
I don't absolve the Palestinian leadership for being corrupt and not actually trying to do the tough things to give their people the sovereignty and self-determination. No, you don't get 100%, but you make compromise to get you ahead of where you are today. Hold on. I don't absolve America for actually, in my view, being complicit. And I don't absolve this government from what I think is doing provocative things. I was an equal opportunity jerk where everybody's accountable. Now, if we're going to spend you take all the time you want. It's your show. You tell me everything Israel's done wrong. I'll wait until you're done. And then we'll have a discussion of the road out of this. Because I'm trying to figure out how to get out of it. And
Sure.
but no, no, because
Yeah.
here's the challenge, Peter. You got what you have done, and I'm a very avid reader of your work.
Mhm.
If we're going to sit here,
Yeah.
as I said in the speech, and
Yeah.
figure out who is a bigger victim and who and
Yeah.
how to spend a history
Yeah.
on recriminations, we are going to rob the future of trying to solve a problem. I am not saying, nor did I say in the speech, that Israel's got coming to this clean hands. But I do think, at least since he started at Camp David in 2000 with Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton agrees with me, not with you on this summation.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
too has used the 98%. And before I gave my speech, I talked to him. So I'm pretty on solid ground on this. There was a massive offer to Arafat, which was rejected, and the response wasn't just a rejection. There was violence. I'm not saying that Israel didn't do provocative things, but there was
Right.
an offer not by Ariel Sharon, by Ehud Barak at Camp David.
Right. And I take your point about the importance of looking forward, but you're the one who gives a kind of a short summation of the history in the speech. And I think there are real questions about the veracity of that history, right? So you say that you say the Palestinians rejected Israel's offer. Did not Israel reject the Palestinians' offer? We have several accounts that the Palestinians that Arafat made an offer of a roughly 2.5% equal land swap, which Israel refused, right? Israel wanted to annex more land than the Palestinians wanted. It wanted to keep Israeli troops on the Jordan Valley for much longer than the Palestinians wanted. It didn't want to give the Palestinians a capital in all of the Palestinian neighborhoods in East Jerusalem. As you know, there was also a difference on the Temple Mount. There was a difference on refugee return. But you narrate it only as the Palestinians rejecting Israel's offer, not Israel rejecting the Palestinians' offer. And so that seems to me not necessarily, I think, a fair way to describe the history.
Then you go give your speech.
No,
I
but
get,
you're the guy who might be running for president. I'm just a little journalist asking you about it because I think it
very
has an
little.
impact on how you go forward.